podcast. I want to start by asking Swapan Dasgupta, the thinking within the government in the way that you best understand it on these claims being made at the Gyanvapi Mosque in Kashi. These claims that are now coming from places like Aurangabad, elsewhere, in Mandya, all across the country we're seeing similar claims. Is this, according to you, something the government is actively or tacitly backing and pushing? B, why do you think, and I was reading the piece that you wrote, why do you think that trying to undo some of these historical wrongs at this point in India's history is something that the energy of the Indian people should be concentrated on? Mr. Dasgupta.
Well, firstly, Rahul, I don't think that this movement, whether in Varanasi or anywhere else, has been triggered by the government or by the BJP. The issue in Varanasi is quite old, and there have been groups in Varanasi which have been talking about reclaiming the Gyanvapi, which was the old temple, which was there, the old Kashi Vishwanath temple. Now, the issue which really comes to the fore is that this game changer has in fact been the court order. The court order has basically said, let's do a survey. Let's do a videographic survey. Now, I don't think anybody who has read history, who has any sense of history, will deny that at least in the case of the Gyanvapi Masjid, it was done after demolition of what was then called the Vishweswara temple, and even the remnants of that temple are very much alive and visible. Whether that was done as a symbol to remind people that, look, this is what the might of Aurangzeb is, or whether this was done as a method of negligence is a matter of conjecture. But there is no doubt, and enough evidence, physical, I think visible evidence, and legends and whole thing is there, and various parts of the Gyanvapi are still held sacred, particularly outside. If you just go outside, there's that well, which the big shivling was actually thrown into that well by someone to prevent it from desecration, and later that well was restored and renovated by Ahilyabai Holkar. And so there is that whole issue of the emotive content of the Gyanvapi. Now here the issue is not so much that you want to destroy or level the mosque. What he's saying is that the unrestricted right of worship on certain parts of the wall, that's really what the issue is about. But I would really go around and say that what is the origin of this whole thing is not that, people are trying to reclaim various things, but there has been a sustained campaign of denial. That denial is what has earthed and triggered all these things. If you continuously say, no, actually nothing happened, then people will just go out of their way to say, yes, something did happen, it was very hurtful. And I think that's really the thing. For too long, our historians have taken refuge behind obfuscation and denial and, trying to say, no, it didn't happen. Oh, well, it happened because some rapist was being sheltered inside a temple. It happened because someone wanted a loot. You're trying to say, whatever might be the motivation, these were acts of sacrilege and they were very hurtful, and this is one of the reasons for this great Hindu-Muslim fault line in this country. So to my mind, the most important thing which has to be done now is a formal acknowledgement. And once that acknowledgement comes about, I think you will find that every group is now likely to say, okay, now let's talk about it. This was done, now what do we do in the future? What is possible to be reversed and what unfortunately cannot be done. So I think that first thing is an acknowledgement of what exactly happened. In Australia and certain places, they have a tradition where before a meeting starts, they say, we pay our respects to the land which was once held by these tribes. It's an acknowledgement of what happened was not very nice, but it's at least an acknowledgement